My name's Addi Freiner. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm 20 years old, and I am majoring in elementary education. My first year of going to Uganda, I left June 3rd, and I really had no idea what I was getting into, but I left with a group of strangers that I didn't know, and so it's very overwhelming. And when I first got there, I stopped and I was like, what the heck am I doing here? I'm in a foreign country. I don't know what's going on. I can't contact my parents. I was pretty much completely alone. But when we finally got to Uganda, it was a complete culture shock. And you get out of the car, and all of a sudden you're swarmed and surrounded by these children. And they are just hugging you. You don't know them. You've never seen them. You don't know their names. They just swarm you, and they love on you, and they hug you, and they're asking you all these questions, but you don't understand them because you don't speak the same language. I sat down and was trying to figure things out, and this older girl came, and she just sat down right next to me and basically told me, she's like, all you have to do is love them, and they'll love you back. So I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and for the next 2 months, I just got to love on these kids, and they started calling me mom, and they started just loving on me, and I loved on them, and I took care of them, and I ate with them, and I helped for the little ones, I bathed them, and for this one baby Doreen, she came, I think, 1 month in, and she was 14 months old, but she only weighed 10 pounds. So she was tiny, and she had malaria, so she was feverish all the time, and wouldn't eat, and had no expression. So they just kind of gave me this baby. I was like, okay, I've babysat before, so this baby became my child essentially. I carried her everywhere. I fed her, I changed her, I bathed her. I was the first one there when to be able to make her laugh. She started gaining weight, and I was the first one who got to be there when she started smiling and giggling, and by the time it was time for me to go, of course I had a really great relationship with the other kids, but with this baby, I had essentially become her parent. And the last week she had kind of babbled, but nothing coherent, and I was holding her right by the cooking fire because it was almost dinner time. I was just holding her in my arms, and I was looking at her, and she just all of a sudden just looked at me and was like, mama, and I knew that I had to leave in the next couple of days, and it was just kind of one of those moments where your heart gets ripped out and thrown around and then just tossed on the ground, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to see that baby, and I knew that she was probably going to grow up, and she was probably going to forget, and that was really hard. And then I ended up getting on the plane and flying back home, and that was probably the second hardest thing, was coming home, just because I knew I wasn't going to be in contact with them. I wasn't going to be able to hold them or love them, or they weren't going to know that I was thinking about them at every second of the day. I automatically came back to OSU for recruitment. I had less than a week, and going from a place where it was so focused on loving these children to a place where we were so focused on what qualities a girl could bring to the house was so incredibly hard, because it was this doesn't matter. There are children literally starving and in need of parents and in need of love, and we're focused on something as petty as what is her grade point average. It was so hard. There were so many times where I was I just want to drop. I don't care about sorority life anymore. I don't care about college. I just care about Africa. But a lot of my friends rallied around me and just loved on me, and they knew I was having a hard time, and would just make sure I knew that I was being prayed over, and that I could always talk to them, and I could always tell them the stories. And I mean, I have some pretty good friends because they've probably heard those stories 1,000 times. But just seeing the difference in lifestyles, and the stark contrast of Uganda, Africa, to sorority land was very difficult. And after a while, I got better, and I didn't get so emotional. And like I still think about those kids every day, and I still pray for them every day, and they're plastered all over my wall and in my phone and on social media. So it's not like I don't, like, they're still a very big part of my life, but I've learned how to cope with being here and like still having my heart over there.